Hello,
and
welcome to the Woman Cave.
I'm a little late.
Yep.
But I was louder. That's what's important.
You were louder? That never in history has that happened. So you know what I'm going to say? High five? Social distance style?
No, because a lady's voice is never supposed to be above a whisper.
High five as I move it closer towards you.
Down. There we go. That's disgraceful.
All
right, yeah, we can do the fist bump. Social distance. Yeah. I love that. I'm sorry. Done. So all of you people out here who are watching, I just want you to know a quick little note about Winona. So I did.
Oh, she's Winona. So she's talking about herself. She's not talking about Jade, which is me.
Oh.
Yeah, you like how I did it. You rolled it over. Right? Yeah. I segued it, right? Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Segued I'm like, one more time, though. Come on. Yeah. All right.
Okay, moving on. I'm sorry. Back to professional.
Yeah.
I tried that.
Yeah.
Anyway, a little side note about Winona. That's me. I went to finishing school, so I know that a voice is never supposed to be above a whisper when in court. Not mean court as in judge court, means in royal court. And I try to always keep my voice as lovely and wonderfully whisper like as always.
Okay, so I just want to ask a question, though. When you were at finishing school, did they tell you about wearing wrinkled shirts? Because if they have, you're breaking all kinds of rules today. We wrote literary life guides with pop poetry. That was
really? Did you need the last little thing like that?
Oh, I did.
You needed it?
Because I'm really still laughing about the wrinkles.
Okay, tell me about it.
And I Thought Divorce Was Bad with Other Life Lessons, available on audible.com, Barnes & Noble, and Amazon. And I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy.
It's done.
But it's not up yet. It's done, though, and then, it's really bad because I love Jo, and she is, like, my person. She did a great job on reading that book, and she totally... she commented on something we put up to be like, y'all, check your email because it's done. And I was like, oh, called out in front of the world. How fun.
But the audiobook was available in 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. But it was really great that she did that, though, because I surely hadn't checked my email for 2 days. So Thank you, Jo. You're amazing.
We're finally finishing our movie.
Yeah, finally finishing that. And then we are doing, let's see. Then we have the Mr. Guide series, and then we have one of our only poetry books, which is If Only I Were Me, available on Barnes & Noble only. Wow, I have ashy hands. Let's look down at that. Doing all that washing of my hands, and then we are the co-founders of the 25 hottest indie artists and advocate magazine.
Oh, let me do it like this.
Yeah.
You got to see Pretty Joan.
Featuring the wonderful, gorgeous Joan Baker. And I know that y'all aren't here to hear about us. You're here to hear from our wonderful guests. And if I disappear, it's to get some lotion. This wonderful guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, my goodness.
Hi. How's it going?
Hi.
So I'm Kelly Peterson. I'm a literary agent with Reese Literary Agency, which is amazing. I work with Becca Potos and Ashley Herring-Blake and Anne Collette and Lauren Reese, and they're some really wonderful people. That's been in publishing for a couple of years, and I never know what to say about myself when I say these things. So, except I'm a dog lover. Don't hate me. That's about all I got.
We love it very much, and yes, I'm rubbing my hands together because I did give me some lotion. I needed it.
I just love that she did this on camera. If I had did this on camera, she'd be having a hit.
No, I would not.
Anyway,
I would not. I'd be like, because we were doing the appropriate amount of hand washing in Corona. That, if your hands are constantly chapped, you have done the appropriate amount of hand washing.
Yep.
Moving on to actually talk about Kelly Peterson.
Yes.
First of all, you have an amazing website.
Yes.
I wanted to say that. That's not a question, but that's so awesome. And then secondly, meet your co-workers because they all have cool names.
Yeah, I mean, they're all really awesome people. And super thanks to my graphic artist, Kendra, who is amazing. So if you ever want to actually hire her, she does some amazing cartoon work. And it all kind of came out of the influence of being from Philly. And I always kind of saw, Philly as being realistic, almost to a fault, having some, fun and some freedom, I guess, so to speak. So that's a lot of what my, graphic design wanted to be and who a lot of people saw me as. So I was kind of like, well, might as well just go with it. But yeah, no, my coworkers are amazing. They're super supportive. And anytime I'm like, hey, I want to say this on Twitter, they're like, burn it down. And I'm like, this is amazing. You're the best people.
To the ashes. Oh, I'm sorry. Moving on. Okay. Yeah, that's not a funny joke now anymore, is
so
it?
I'm going to need you to
staying up with the
So how did you become a literary agent?
Oh, I had a question. Okay.
No, you don't have to ask the generic one first, so we can pretend like.
No, I was going to ask the really annoying ones. Okay, after that you have two annoying ones, and we'll go back to being fun. Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is an interesting question anyways. So speaking of burning things down, I started as an intern at Corvisiero Literary Agency, which if you've heard anything recently, you know about that fire. So I started as an intern. I worked my way up to a apprentice and then a junior literary agent. I knew I had to get out of the agency and that it just kind of wasn't fitting for me for reasons I'm sure many of you already know. And I ended up talking to Becca Podos and she gave me an in, and I got really, really lucky with how we clicked, and Lauren was able to help me in a way that no one else could. So I transferred over to Reese in March of 2019. So I've been with them for a little over a year now. And Becca Podos has been mentoring me, and Lauren Reese has been mentoring me, and it's been a really amazing journey. So, and I formed the fellowship to kind of give my authors a reason to talk to each other and a want to talk to each other and to form a community within publishing. And I've been working on doing that everywhere else since. So, yeah.
What's the fellowship's name? I'm sorry. And then I will let you ask your annoying questions.
The fellowship's name?
Yes.
So who's in it or what the name is?
What's the name?
So it's literally like I call them the fellowship. It's a writing group purely for my authors, and it started because of the fact that I loved Lord of the Rings, and I loved fantasy, and so I was kind of like, well, you guys are going to be the fellowship, and we're going to go on a journey together, and that was kind of the, I guess, formation of that. And not saying I love Lord of the Rings as a book, because that book is not good. So, sorry, don't kill me, Tolkien, but yeah, the movies itself, and we all kind of have since labeled each other. Apparently, I'm Gandalf because I work behind the scenes to orchestrate everything. So it's an interesting experience and a journey in and of itself.
I mean, between being a literary agent and running a fellowship, where do you find time? Because, I mean, literary agents are managing their clients. Oh, my goodness, I'm scratching on camera. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. We're not professional today. So they're doing their clients, and then they have to manage their rights, and they kind of find, like, the movie rights and the foreign, and you have a lot to do.
Yeah.
How do you find time?
Well, I don't. As like the conversation goes, publishing is a really privileged industry to begin with. And coming out of college, I actually started with my English teaching degree, and knowing I was like, I got into teaching eventually after a couple of years, and I hated it. I hated the administration. I came home crying every day, and there was no support and everything like that. And I was like, I'm going to write a book. This is going to be great. It'll be an outlet. And I sucked. Because my focus wasn't there. I was awful. But in order to survive during that time, I worked 5 jobs. And I still continue to work 3 jobs, actually, in order to kind of keep up with things. So my list as an agent stays rather small. I consider it, very select clients so that I can make sure I can focus on all of them, make sure I can focus on all of their needs and everything like that. But it's a balance. It's a juggle. It's, taking weekends and weeknights and things like that to make sure things get done. And especially in this time, it's been really hard. And I try not to lie about that. I'm like, we're all facing a lot of difficulties now with focusing. And I, like I said, I read my first book for the first time since the pandemic last week. So it's been hard, and finding the time is basically just a matter of surviving at this point. So.
Amazing.
You don't have to eat.
You like you have all the time?
Yes, and yes.
But finding time to do anything right now is so hard.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see that you're not just surviving, but you seem to be thriving over there. I mean, you look absolutely adorable with the hair, so it looks like a thriving person.
Yeah, it's thriving.
Okay, I have to ask you one question. The two annoying questions. Number one, what kind of person do you represent, and what do you look for in a query letter? What kind of author do you represent, and what do you look for in a query letter?
So as far as authors, I honestly, it varies. So we as agents want to make sure that we find someone who we click with personally, as well as someone who we feel we can help in some sort of way. So my strength has always been like world building. And I feel like my strength is also in like realistic dialogue too. So I have a tendency, you know, to kind of go for people who may need more help in those particular areas. And that way I feel like I'm doing something, and our strengths match. But I always like to find clients who I feel like I can get along with, who I feel like I can have a conversation with. You know, it's tough as both an agent and an author, feeling like you have to walk on eggshells all the time around certain people. And that's not what I want with my clients, and it's not what I want within the fellowship. So I try to make sure, you know, everyone kind of meshes well, and that I can talk to them on a realistic basis. You know, and I'm very open with my clients. I talk to them almost every day. So I'm very available to them. And as far as queries, I really look for voice. I love voice. Voice isn't something you can teach as an agent or even as an editor. So when a client or a potential client has that voice, it's amazing. I'm like, I can do anything. I can work with that. And if you can put voice into your query, it catches attention very quickly. So, yeah.
That is nice to know. I'm glad
So now I know.
I
I know. Querying is so hard.
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
Hard.
Pitch writing is. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, we're finished all the annoying questions, and the generic one, we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, fun ones. Let's talk about you. You write. So what are you writing right now?
Oh, so I I picked up writing and I put it back down for a while. I was writing a very high fantasy, and this came in the time, you know, of like 2014, 2015, when young adult fantasy was still a thing. So it was very dark, and it was very almost like villainistic in a way. So it was a gray area. Built around an entire like fantastic world, and I've since put it down because focus is and I'm like, when focus is, I'm like, the writing doesn't come easily for me, and especially because of the fact that you know, my clients come first, so I want to make sure they're taken care of. And I'm like, if my writing career comes later, then my writing career comes later. I'm like, agenting is more important for me, and it works well with my multitasking brain while I'm still working all these jobs and everything else like that. So but yeah, YA high fantasy was always the love of my life and still continues to be. So eventually, maybe when it comes back, I'll pick that back up again.
So YA is gone?
No, definitely not. So high fantasy itself, though, is just a really, really hard sell. So, yeah.
Have you thought about Audible instead? Like just writing it for an audiobook?
I mean, that's a possibility too. A lot of the problems with like young adult fantasy in and of itself come from having such high expectations. When it was such a high demand, you know, you're looking at Lee Bardugo, you're looking at Tomi Adeyemi, who had a 7-figure deal, you know, like it is in such high demand and had such a high expectation of payments that publishers just aren't able to make anymore. And because of that, a lot of people are leaning more towards, you know, contemporary or contemporary fantasy or historical and things like that, because how do you kind of put an author up against, you know, writers like Tomi Adeyemi? How do you do that? You know what I mean? So it's like, how do you look at a query and have a comp title that's, you know, Tolkien or any of the other authors that we've been talking about? It's really high expectations and very high payments that are expected from publishers. So they've kind of gone the opposite direction and said, you know what, we have enough fantasy right now. We're going to go with contemporary or historical or any of the other things. So, but like I said before, I'm like, publishing is cyclic, so it'll come back eventually, but.
Will ready.
You'll be ready. She'll would have edited it and have it perfectly ready, and you broker your own deal with your foreign rights. We believe that will happen.
I know. I'm not sure that would work out too well. I'm like, I think I'd be, a little too self-involved or something like that. So.
I think you remove yourself from the situation. I mean, you're doing a great job of doing it and on this interview. You said you were nervous. You seem perfectly fine. I'm sure you can remove yourself from the situation and rep you.
You could.
This time you just be like, and Kelly told me that she wanted.
Could you imagine that email? Like, listen, Kelly says and demands that she wants this. And it's like, like, okay.
I'm by Miss Peterson. Not by Kelly. This is Miss Peterson.
Talking to the business half of me. Not
yes.
Kelly, the writer. Miss Peterson and the other half. Business.
Okay, take the ladies to come up with something.
It would, and we would use it too. We would use it.
Yes.
I'd be signing it Miss D. Jade, on the other hand, wants all of this. But Miss D understands that you can't provide it. But we need to talk business. Okay, so where can people find out more about you and your agency online?
Wait, you do some blogs too, right?
I used to, yeah. So I've been trying to keep up with it and do some publishing advice, but as you know, I'm like me being my 3-job working at like agency. So I've been trying, but most of my publishing advice is now just resulted in threads on Twitter.
Fabulous. So where can people go to find out some more publishing advice that you have for them? Follow you even on Twitter?
Yeah, I probably would. That's actually probably the best way of receiving any kind of advice from me. You can follow me on Twitter, and it's Lit Agent Kelly, is all of my social media. So you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. Twitter is where I'm most active because that's where all of the writers are. So it's a fun time. But my website you can also find is litagentkelly.com. So.
And it's awesome, so you should go visit.
You should
I mean, even if you're not going to read it, just look at the art and be like, ooh, and then make her numbers tick up for people who visit it.
Yes, absolutely. We love that. I love that very much. So, y'all, please go by and check her out at all the stuff that she has.
And Jade, would you like to wrap us up?
Absolutely. You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andwethought.com. While you're there, take a moment, go to the ladies tab, go to the middle of the page and see the charities that we proudly support. So we know the times are hard and money is short, and we understand that. So maybe you want to donate some clothes or some books, or maybe just want to write them a letter that says, hey, I see what you're doing, and I see that you're trying to make the world a better place, and thank you for doing that. Everyone needs encouragement, so that doesn't really cost anything. Just maybe like 5 minutes of your time. That would be amazing, and they truly appreciate it. They always talk about how those emails are the ones that keep them going. So please take a moment and do that. Thank you in advance. And just remember, wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Will Nona.
And Jay was no longer ashy hand.
Bye.